Conversations with Sandy and Friends, a weekly talking segment with invited guests, best-selling authors, international speakers, coaches, and business leaders. A collective conversation aimed to empower, encourage, inspire all that listen. So welcome to our show, Coffee Conversations with Sandy and Friends. Welcome to Coffee Conversations with Sandy and Friends, a weekly talking segment with invited guests, best-selling authors, international speakers, coaches, and business leaders. A collective conversation aimed to empower, encourage, inspire all that listen. So welcome to our show, Coffee Conversations with Sandy and Friends. Hey everybody, and yes, and here we are. Hello and welcome to a special episode of Coffee Conversation and Book Talks with Sandy. I am Sandy Sanders. I am your host and creator of this podcast, Coffee Conversation and Book Talks with Sandy, where we are powered by CTR Media Network. Listen, tonight is a special episode. Listen, how y'all like the background? Yes. Okay, I got to get the green screen and all of that, but we're super excited. We got some new things happening for 2025. Well, listen, I am super excited. I have one of my podcast peers that is on with me tonight, and I'm telling you, I am super excited for this gentleman to be on with me tonight. Hey, Dr. Tina, I do see you. Yes, indeed. And listen, we're not going to hold back. I'm going to go ahead and bring on this amazing podcaster, content creator, vocalist, songwriter. Listen, you name it. He's got a couple of other hats that he wears as well. So we're talking about none other than, yes, Tony Swinton, also known as, yes, T Swin. Have I got it right?
T Swin. Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Hello, everybody.
Hello and welcome to Coffee Conversation and Book Talks with Sandy. I am super excited. Dr. Tina in the audience with us tonight. There she is. Yes, saying hello, coming to support us for sure. So listen, y'all see it up there. Love is for suckers. I tell you, here's the book up in the corner. So before we really get into, and he's holding it up, before we really get into our conversation, you and I are part of the CTR Media family. And we just embarked, we did our awards back in September, and we embarked in some amazing things coming in. But I want to thank you. You did the soundtrack or the intro for and so we met you. Lots of things. So how is things going with you as a podcaster? And the podcast that you have is that men can't always be wrong. Do I have it right?
Yes, ma'am. Men can't always be wrong.
I thought that was so catchy whenever I first met you and heard about your podcast, and I love the sound. So come on and say hello to our audience, if you will.
Hello, everybody out there with Coffee Conversation. This is your guy, T Swin. I'm a podcaster, also part of the CTR Media Network. Everything's going good, man. The podcast is growing. We have over 7,000 subscribers, and we're on all major platforms, and it's going. Shout out to Mr. Clay. He's in the chat. He's checking in. He's down South Carolina.
Oh, Illinois. We're about to hit we're about to get some snow. You already got snow down in Texas. You're in Texas. You got snow already.
Yeah, North Texas. Yeah, it's been pretty bad. It's been pretty bad out here, but I'm doing pretty good. The lowest it's got over here is probably 38, 40. We're good.
Yeah,
I'm not too fond of the cold.
Who is? So yes, we've got some people in the audience. Thank you, Mr. Clay, for coming through, giving the support. Thank you, CTR, for coming through and giving some support. We're excited about this book project. When you've had it out for a while, and for a little over a year. And
next month actually is the anniversary. Is the 1 year anniversary next month.
That is amazing. That is amazing. You all listen, Coffee Conversation audience. We're super excited that this gentleman is come. He's an author. We're going to dive deep into this book, but most of all, and I'm going to be the goal is to put this book in your hand. So there is going to be an opportunity. You can do some Q&A maybe at the end, but we're going to have a conversation. So before we really get into it, hi Alexis, how you doing? Thank you for coming through. Yes, indeed. Before we do, we're going to hear from CTR Media Network that we are powered by, and then we're going to come in and just begin our conversation about Suckas is love is for suckers, y'all. I'll get it right. I will get it right. Okay, hold tight. Hold tight with me. All righty, hold on.
What's something people don't know about CTR Media Network? It's where content truly meets impact. At CTR Media Network, we believe in the power of stories. Our platform is a dynamic blend of education and entertainment, crafted to inspire and empower creators like you. From insightful podcasts to transformative videos, we offer a diverse range of content that helps you learn, grow, and thrive. Our mission? Innovating media, one story at a time. Imagine a place where your voice can reach millions, where your stories can reshape perspectives. That's CTR, create, thrive, redefine. Join a community of visionary creators and make your mark on the world. Because here at CTR Media Network, your content doesn't just entertain, it makes an impact. So, are you ready to create, thrive, and redefine? Dive in and discover a new world of possibilities, where content meets impact. CTR Media Network.
CTR Media Network, where content meets impact. That is so phenomenal. Those of you that are tuning in tonight, this is a special episode. I have a solo book project author. He's a solo author. And his book is called Love is for Suckers. Okay. And I want to share just a little bit about this amazing, amazing young man. I met him or heard him and saw him throughout us being part of the CTR Media Network. But your work speaks for you. Your name precedes you. But I want to share with our audience who you are. I'm going to take my glasses off. It's much easier. Tony Swinton is a multifaceted individual. He wears the hats of a devoted father, accomplished artist, a military veteran, an entrepreneur, hailing from the vibrant city of Houston, Texas. His life's journey is a rich tapestry woven with diverse experiences that have shaped his unique perspective and creative expression. With a background that blends with discipline of military service with the freedom of artistic exploration, Tony brings a distinctive blend of dedication, creativity, and resilience to all his endeavors. So listen, yes. Again, welcome to the podcast. What made you write this book?
I was inspired as a kid. I loved story time coming up in school, and I love listening to books. And I always figured, I said, man, I got a story to tell. I've seen a lot of things in this life, and I think they'd be pretty interesting to people.
Yeah.
So I said, you know what? If they can do it, I can do it. I'm gonna create my own book. Let's get it.
And it's interesting that you say, and we will walk around as an author or as a creator, a content creator. We say, we have a story to tell, and especially entering into the author world and becoming an author, I have learned in interviewing, because that's my jam. That's what I do. I interview authors, people like you, and it's so true. You do have a story to tell, and so your story is telling about Troy. So in this book, it talks about from the heights of becoming a father to the lows. Again, I got to take my glasses off. I need my readers. To the lows of discovering paternity, uncertainties, Troy, emotional roller coaster, and gripping and relatable. All of this so relatable to men, and so relatable. The story explores the complexities of trust, fidelity, and the devastating consequences of deception in relationships. Love is for Suckas is one man's journey through the heights and the lows of love, and leaving readers questioning the very essence of relationships and the exclusive concept of true love. One of the things I want to say, you all, if you have not read this book and you got the book, he has a vast vocabulary. And I literally had to go, I said, okay, how do I pronounce that? What's
Yeah, those.
Woo, Mr. Tony. I did. I got the reading and I was like, oh, what's that word? Okay. So listen, come on, let's talk about it. Let's talk about the intro. Let's go from the beginning.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm waiting. So we've got the intro and your journey begins. Let's talk about your journey. If you'll bring us into your world in the book.
Yes, we talk about Troy and him in his search for love, growing up as a young man, starting with his first encounter of his first crush in the 6th grade. And moving through life as he goes into the military, not knowing what he wants to be and do with his future. And he joins the military, and he comes, and it follows his interactions and his trials and tribulations and trying to search for love. And what does love mean? What is his picture of love? And what does it mean to him? And how the real world kind of knocks him upside the head and shows him what's really out there.
Yes, exactly. And when you talk about some of the complexities, I like where you indicate is that there was some rejection. Let's talk about boys and girls deal with rejection, y'all. We're really going to get into the book, but we want to set the foundation here because here you're going back. You're telling the story of Troy. And the story of Troy is that Troy dealt with, you're exposing us to what it feels like in the mind of this 12-year-old who's experiencing rejection. Let's talk about it.
Yes, if for those that have read it and they know, Troy approaches this young girl that he has a crush on. He's been having a crush on her for a while. And he finally builds up the courage to approach her, and she's with her friends. And he's never did this in his life, and he's never felt any kind of rejection. So he tells her that he likes her, and he says he has a secret or something he wants to speak to her about. And then she tells, well, whatever you got to say, you can say it in front of my friends. So he figures, what the hell, I say it. So he asks her if, back in the day they'll say, would you go around with me? That was the terms back then. It's how you ask somebody, would you go around with me? And the girl looked at him and she busts out laughing, and her friends start laughing. And so Troy is standing there, and he don't know what's going on because he don't know what's so funny, and they laugh and they walk off. And that's the first time he experienced rejection and heartbreak, because he never thought that something like that would happen. He never pictured that. And so that shapes the beginning of the story.
So that shapes the beginning. He experiences rejection. So does he have the difficulty with communicating with women going forward until so y'all tell.
No, it doesn't deter him, but it makes him stronger. It doesn't stop him from approaching women or talking to them. How some people react, and what kind of feedback he might get as he goes out to try to do these things and accomplish these missions.
Okay. Navigating, chapter 1 is navigating the maze of love. And without getting really into the chapter, and I did a highlight here. Here is my highlight, is that I told y'all he has this wide, vast of vocabulary. Come on, pronounce this word for me, because I looked it up and now my brain, I'm gone brain dead.
What page are you
at? This is our introduction from clandestine.
Yeah.
Say it for me.
Clandestine.
Okay. And
Or clandestine.
what does that mean?
It's like dealing with sexual things.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And so from those type of encounters, you talk about Troy's journey of these intimate times and these secret times with women of all ages, younger
Yes.
women. So he kind of goes on this search and journey. Is it a fulfilling? Is it something that needed to be fulfilled? Because again, getting back to the root, he was rejected.
I would
So
say part. Go ahead.
go ahead. No, you go ahead.
I would say parts of it were fulfilling for him,
Okay.
but it opened his eyes up to a lot of things. You know, he
Such
learned a lot
as,
of lessons in his journey. How people's backgrounds are different from where he comes from, and
okay.
how they see things and view life and view relationships.
Yeah.
Some people are have a mask on. They're pretending to be somebody else that they're not really are.
Mm-hmm.
And then everybody doesn't have the same heart as you and intentions.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so when we as men and women, when we put ourselves out there and we're talking, there's different types of love. We know that there's the godly love. There is the filial love, which is the romantic attraction type of love. There's that love. And when we put ourselves in there, and then there's the love that we love our family, we love our children, we love, our cousins and all of that. But when we're talking about love is for suckers, kicking off with, why is it for suckers?
A lot of times in this world, a lot of people they go in with good intentions, and then they find out that somebody with had an ulterior motive, had a backup plan, and they find out that sometimes they were being played the whole time.
So
and in this world,
okay.
we have a lot of people that are opening their eyes, and they're finding. You see it in the media every day.
Yeah.
There's people finding out they thought one thing was one, and now they're headed for divorce court. And everything is being taken, or half of it's being taken.
So what you're helping us understand, and again, navigating the maze of love, is that it can be disappointing. Love can be disappointing. You go in head first, especially as you said. I mean, you just painted a picture for us. There are individuals that have a motive for getting into the relationship, whether it is with money, whether it is because of security, whether it is because of, I don't know. There's just many reasons why they enter into, we're adults. We enter into this relationship because we're talking about the type of love that is for when you're giving out, you're opening up your heart. You're opening up, you're taking away that wall. You're saying, hey, I'm diving, head first. I'm all in.
Yeah.
And you don't have a backup plan. You don't have a plan B. So come on. We're at the navigating the maze. So now you let us know. We're going to talk about this maze, getting in and navigating through this world. You do lead off with sharing is that growing up, the pursuit of love felt like here you go, y'all. Here you go again with one of these long words. Okay.
A labyrinth.
Yes.
Which is a maze.
Which is a maze. Filled with dead ends, unexpected turns, and lingering fear of rejection. So the rejection part of Troy, we're going to talk about Troy, that Troy never actually, does he get healed? And that's a background question. Does he get healed from the rejection?
Oh yeah, Troy builds up a tolerance where it doesn't bother him.
Oh, okay. Because are you saying that you can get rejected again? Yeah.
And in society, men get rejected all the time. We kind of get used to it.
Okay. You all are those of you that are tuning in, we are here tonight with the incredible author, Tony Swinton, who is the author. He's also known as T Swin, and he is the author of the book called Love is for Suckers. When I hear this and I read this and I'm looking at it and I'm trying to, bring it all in, what he's saying is that, hey, man, I give it all what I'm going to give, and it just doesn't work out. But I'm getting too far into it, so we're not going to go there yet. And you really talk about the sting of rejection was something, Troyce, and you say, I became intimately familiar with during the early years. And I think you really, really said that. And you talk about the meeting the young lady on the we all had elementary love, junior high school love. And puppy love is what we called it. And we had those, but I like where you write, you said, despite the setbacks, I pressed on, determined to unravel the mysteries of love that seemed to elude me to every turn. Do you like the idea of love?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, because when you're in it, it feels good.
And when did you see that growing up?
Oh, yes. So I did. Yes, I did.
With your family.
Yes, my mother and father. I grew up in a 2-parent home.
Okay.
And I had my mother and my father, so I saw love. For me, a lot of things that were in the world I wasn't exposed to. So I grew up thinking myself thinking that people were a certain way, acted a certain way, held themselves to a certain code of regard.
Right.
And the military, for me, made open my eyes up to a lot of things.
I bet it did.
Really.
But that would explain, as you said, you say to the little girl or the young girl on the field with all her little friends around, and she laughs because you're like, this is not what I'm seeing my day in and day out. My mom, my dad, and she, in other words, she's not acting like my mother would act.
Exactly.
That's what she's not respecting me the way I know my mother respect my father. And that's what it's boiled down to, y'all. We got to get into that conversation, because do you feel that we're lacking that? We're gonna get into the book, but now you don't open it. You got my
worms, huh?
Do you feel that we as a Black culture are missing the love of the 2-parent homes?
Yes, we are. As we look at media, it shows up every day that there's so many divided homes, there's so many single parent homes, and now we have a large majority of people deciding to be single parents.
Yeah,
which is crazy that people are deciding that they choose and they want to have kids without the other parent involved. As far as going to freeze eggs and get in vitro,
exactly.
So they can have kids on their own without. And it's proven that both parents need to be in the home for their child to be successful. And we've gotten away from that. Media has painted a narrative for us in our community that we're at war. We need to be at war with each other, and it just keeps destroying homes.
So, and again, those of you that are tuning in, the author of the book that Love is for Suckers, we are really hitting on the fact that the example that Troy saw was a 2-parent home, and to be rejected was something that you were not familiar with. We're not familiar with. And it sent into a maze, and then discovering this person was not the only one. There's a whole bunch of people out here that are like that. They're either one-timers. No, you don't look the part. You don't have you don't have all the materialistic things. And, we went through, I think generations went through a thing where females were really just looking, and I think males too, went through, okay, well, he doesn't have a fine car. He doesn't have a big house. Don't have a big house, so he can't talk to me. And we're all in the club and everybody clubbing, and you meeting there. You may be meeting in a coffee shop. You may meet in a grocery store. Okay, well, what are you driving? And so the perception that because he is driving a pickup, that he can't, conversate with you. And so I
Mhm.
think it put a bad taste in also that men kept getting rejected for so long, they just stopped even really speaking to women to a certain point because we got into I got it going on. I'm my own woman. I make the money. I can buy my own house. I
Mhm.
can buy my own car. We went through that. I think it was, I want to say about, say the last 20 years.
Mhm.
That's when we began to see all of that. And so going into the military, did you find that you found women that were very self-sufficient, very independent, but felt like that they didn't really want to have time for a man in their life?
Well, in the military, yeah, you would see that a lot because they're the same rank as you. They're making the same money. If you're the same rank or higher, you're making
Uh-huh,
the same money.
uh-huh.
And with that position, it comes with power in the military. You get authority,
Yeah.
in that position. But outside, but that's why a lot of guys wouldn't date the military
They
girls.
would
They would
stayed
date the
outside.
hometown.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, date the locals. Because especially if you're in a small town, you can get you a small town girl who just want the simple things. Or you may get you a small town girl that want to get to the city.
Say it's a little of both, right? I remember,
Exactly.
yeah, that was the conversation. That was definitely the conversation. So in this, you teach us and tell us in the book about the maze, the love of maze. And when you think about a maze, there's all the twists and turns
Yes.
of love. Would you give us an example of what you discovered in the maze and about love? Not necessarily
Man,
in the book. What did you
well, you can
what did
you
you
can think
discover?
you can think that you're on the right path and you got it all figured out. That you got your course and your route set and you're going to get to the other side. And you're
Hmm.
going to get to that goal line or that finish line.
Hmm.
Then all of a sudden a wall comes out of nowhere that you didn't expect. A wall that you like, well, I can't break through this wall. I don't think I could climb over this wall
Uh-huh.
or go around it. And life is like that, especially with love. You don't know. You're going in. It's kind of you're going in with believing with a good heart that there's going to be some good outcomes. You know, and you don't really
Especially
go in
when
there
you're looking.
exactly, and you don't really go in there thinking bad things. Now you can get tainted over time and
Yeah.
expecting bad
Yep.
things, but in the beginning, you going in, good hearted, expecting good outcomes, and you thinking all the best. And like sometimes some people catch butterflies, and I know we've all had that feeling sometime in our life where we feel like we can conquer the world when that person is next to us.
Yeah.
It just feels good for that person to be around you. But life is full of ups and downs, and don't think that relationships are gonna be the exception.
And so, and you discovered as you're letting us know, you discovered in that maze that it was these walls. Was that with one particular person, or was that maybe just from dating a couple of people?
Oh man, those walls came from more than one person.
Okay.
Troy had a couple walls he had to go against, and some of them were good.
Hmm.
Some of the obstacles and put in his way were good, but he had to go around them. He couldn't stay there in that spot.
Okay. All
You
right.
know,
Awesome. Uh, Mr. Clay says our expectations sometimes deceives us. Oh, that's
hmm
good. Would you like to elaborate on Mr. Clay's comment?
yeah. Sometimes you can be blinded. You can see all the red flags, but if they pushing all the right buttons
Uh-huh.
for you, you turn a blind eye to it.
Hmm.
And you was like, I can deal with that. I can put up with that. That ain't nothing. This person has all these other good things about them.
Yeah, that's good. And see, from a woman's perspective, this is really good that we're having this dialogue. Those of you that are tuning in, I'm loving this because you're being very transparent with us. And it kind
hmm
of is bringing me back to the mind of the book that was, what does it say is that, what is the Steve Harvey book that he wrote and he
Oh,
made
act
it
like a
really,
woman, think like a man.
yes. Listen, he's letting us know this in this book here, but there is some positive things that are coming out of this. Listen, you got to go, mind here. So thank you guys for tuning in. Go ahead and share this out. I do want you to share it out because we are really having this great conversation. I'm loving it. You can also find T Swin on his weekly show that is Men Can't Always Be Wrong. I love it. And you also have Story Time with T. And you can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and of course, CTR Media Network, Audible. And the book is in Audible as well. So it's making me want to just listen to it because your vast, wide variety of vocabulary. But I started to call you and say, "Hey, how do you pronounce this word?"
I had a buddy who did that. My buddy did that when he first got to it. He said, "Man, I had to check the dictionary for some of these words."
Exactly. I love what Mr. Clay said. He said he agreed with you that the Black male and female are pitting against one another, which has devastated the Black family. I am in 100% agreement with you. And what I recall and what I know of of my generation, and probably not far from yours, is that we went into this, I can do it all by myself. Why? Because of hurt, rejection. And it was across the board. You have men that were hurt and just said, no, I'm not doing this anymore. I've put too much in. I'm walking away. And then you have the opposite. You have females who says, yeah, I can do it on my own, not knowing that you can both be a blessing to each other. But that takes time, and it takes years and takes maturity. I recognize that. Believe me, I do. So you were stationed out in San. Oh, go ahead. You had a comment?
Oh no. I was just going along with what you were saying. I'm just laughing.
Yeah. Shadows in San Diego. So when I say San Diego, what's in your mind?
San Diego. Sheesh, right now they got California's on fire right now.
Right.
No pun intended. But San Diego, man, beautiful beaches, good weather. It never rains in Southern California.
No, it doesn't.
Tony.
I remember.
What comes to mind.
And you write to us and you say, in the heart of San Diego, where the sun-drenched beaches, y'all, he just so, I'm going to keep reading. Beaches painted the backdrop of my coming of age story. So there is this, it says, it was during my time in school that I encountered the girl. Are we talking about the same thing or no? This is moving on.
Oh, this is in San Diego in the military for Troy.
Yes. Okay.
Fresh out of boot camp.
Okay. This is in boot camp. And you meet this person, this young lady, and you begin to share some very private information with this person. And you all have to get the book to find out what the private information is that he shared. But ultimately we find out it's kind of like you wake up and you leave and you don't see each other ever again. Tell us about that moment.
Oh man, for Troy, for that moment for him, it blew his mind. Because he thought he had a connection. He thought he had a connection with this young lady. And then he wakes up the next day, he goes around her, and she acts like he doesn't exist.
I know.
And so she avoids him. She avoids him and she doesn't talk to him anymore. And she don't want to have anything to do with him. And he can't figure it out.
But help me to understand this too. Don't we have that in life, period? How can we take that and we find that we have had some situations like that in our life that you become disappointed. You go in with one expectation and, the fireworks go off and it looks all good and everybody's all excited, but you plan a project, you plan, with writing of the book. Did you come up against any obstacles that you may want to share with our audience before you actually took the courage to write this? what were some of the things that you faced? Because we're talking about your expectation, and then something happens and it doesn't meet your expectation, or there's a disappointment. Tell us about that.
Well, I figure, man, the best way to connect with people is to be vulnerable, tell a true story, because there's a lot of people out there that can connect. Their story is the same.
Yeah,
it's more people out there. That's why, like with podcasting, put your truth out there. Somebody's gonna connect with you. You know.
So yeah. Go ahead. Put your truth out there.
Yeah, put it out there. Somebody's gonna relate. There's somebody out there that's either went through it or going through it. And you just speaking and telling your story can help give them knowledge, shed light on the situation, or help them through it. You know, let them know it's light at the end of the tunnel. But right in the book, how to find the only roadblock is when I first initially started writing it was, letting life get in the way. Keep putting the book on the back burner and say, man, I'll get to it.
Yeah.
I'll get to it. And then I finally said, you know what? I got the story. I just got to put it out there to the world.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah. How long did it take you to write?
Oh man, I've been working on this for years. And I've been working on it for years, but I had notes, I had notepads, documents all on the computer. I put it all together and fine tuned it and worked it. Shout out to Miss Sheree Moore. She helped me with the creation of my book, and fine tuned it. And doing the audio and everything until I felt like it was perfect to release to the public.
Yes. Well, speaking of the audio, we're going to take a quick break. I want to share. Mr. Swinton and I are going to step back, and we're just going to share his promo. And listen, I love it. So stay tuned. All right, we're going to just hear from Love is a Sucker promo. All right.
Hey everyone, it's T Swin here. Ready for a ride through the wild twists and turns of love? My book, Love is for Suckers, is now available on mcabw.com, Amazon, Kindle, and Audible. Dive into the story that's raw, real, and utterly captivating. Whether you love the feel of a book in your hands, the convenience of your Kindle, or the immersive experience of Audible, I've got you covered. Don't miss out on this gripping tale. Grab your copy today and discover why love is for suckers.
Why? And the question is, why are we going through it? I like that lyric of the song. Why are we going through it? Did you ever ask yourself, why are we going through this? Because believe me, Miss Sandy is old.
Yeah. Sometimes in relationship, you got to go like, why am I going through this? Those words in those songs to me was perfect. It fits in the narrative of this book. That artist is Leon Thomas. He used to be on Nickelodeon. He's a famous R&B singer, but that song is called Breaking Point. And those lyrics are deep. And if you're out there and you tried love, you came to a point where you had to make a decision whether you're going to stay in it or where you're going to leave because you reached a breaking point, And in this book, Love is for Suckers, the main character, Troy, he comes to a point where he has to make a decision. He comes to a breaking point. So you got to get the book so you can read it and find out what that breaking point is.
Yes, you do. You must get this book. I want to just read off to you, the audience. We've looked at chapter 1, chapter 2, and Mr. Tony, I want you to come back. We're going to do a part 2 of this, and then it'll be sometime in March. I want to bring you back because I think. Okay, so I'm going to say this before disclaimer, and I tell my testimony. So yes, I used to go to the club. I loved the club before I became so sanctified, baptized, and filled with the Holy Ghost. I hung out in the club. Yes, I did. I love to dance. And I did. And so I recognized some of this in here. And I said, ooh, Lord Jesus was. And I'm like, this is so amazing. Navigating through the maze of love. Low self-esteem can put and I'll say from a woman's perspective, low self-esteem can cause us to say yes to many things, not realizing that, and rejection, not knowing how to say no. And that was one of my things that I had to overcome, and not knowing my worth.
Yeah.
And what you were showing us in the book is that men do face those same challenges from whatever was there to shape and mold us as men and women of who we are now. But as young men and women exploring the world, relationships and all, what was our foundation? And you had the foundation of a two-parent home. And so everything looked different, but it didn't reflect, the world did not reflect what was in your comfort, your home, the comforts of your home. Whereas me, what did I do? I went chasing it. There's something else outside. Y'all need to listen, because I know I'm not the only one. We chased it. My mother said be home by 12. No, I'm home by 2 and 3. So, and so we have found in, you're just definitely opening this up. You all, let me be honest with you all. This is where, if I still did what I used to do with the club, the drinking and the cigarette, this is what you need with this book. And I'm being honest, but it has a good message. And so what do? I grab my cup of coffee with this says Black Authors Rock. A shout out to Dr. LaTracy and her book and her coffee cup. And I get my coffee and I'm reading this and I'm like, whoa, I can relate. I relate when I was younger. Alexis says yes. Facts said that is so true. And we chased the frogs. We chased them, or listen. So here we are with our chapters. And listen, jump in anytime, because you're a podcaster, you know how to do this. We have chapter 3, Shadows Unveiled. Let me find mine. Okay, here we go. Shadows Unveiled, Unexpected Bonds. Ooh,
yes.
That's
A tangled tapestry unraveled.
Yes. Okay, that sounds like it was just raveled right off. Well, okay, tell us about the tangled tapestries then.
Oh man, the guy Troy, man, he gets in a relationship.
Was it 2 women at a time? 2 people?
At that moment, it was 2 women, kind of. Yeah.
So how did I know? Okay.
Yeah, Troy was dealing with 2 women.
Okay.
Well, he was with one, and the other one was trying to involve herself in that situation.
And help us as women to understand. And then on the flip side, okay, so we have not always been, and we know that he belongs to someone else, and we still want it. Just being honest.
Yeah.
Come on, talk to us.
As a man, men know that every woman has that one guy that almost any given point in life and time, he can walk back into her life because he's left his mark on her. He's imprinted her, And
you feel that way?
Me myself, yeah, I feel that way. I feel that
you really okay. So we're about to have a real conversation, y'all.
I feel that a lot of people. I feel that a lot of people are in relationships. I feel like a lot of people are in.
You feel that? You really believe that, don't you?
Yeah, unless that guy's done so much to them that they, he's hurt them so bad. Other than that, if they parted on good terms or sort of good terms, that guy has an opportunity.
I beg to differ.
It's different, but in my lifetime,
in your lifetime,
different. Yeah.
Here's why I beg to differ. And the reason is, there you go, Alexis, right? Wait, not a mark. She said, oh, y'all forgive me. I am cracking up over here. Alexis, come on.
That's family right there.
That's all right. Miss Alexa, she told me to make sure I have the popcorn and everything to be ready. Girl, I got my popcorn, but I'm not gonna bring it. So, Mr. Tony,
Mm-hmm.
and Miss Sandy. Okay, so I've been married before,
Yes.
and I am officially going through a divorce.
Gotcha.
Okay, it's out there, everybody. And here is the thing, and I won't get too far into because this is my story.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that I just don't think, and I have a good relationship with my children's father. Been divorced for many, many years, and then I made the decision to remarry. But I just don't think that could come back into my life. You can continue to be the child's father, which is
Mhm.
what he did for over, and now my children are adults now.
Mhm.
But I don't know if he left a mark on me or not.
You might not be the one. You might not be the one. Just cause somebody married and had kids with him don't mean that he was the one.
Okay.
You know.
Okay. Doesn't mean that he's the one or she's the one.
Well, she's the one. Yeah. Yeah.
Ooh,
It can go
good.
both ways. It can go.
It can.
A woman
So
can
what
knock a man's socks off, and he can lose his mind.
What you're saying that she can leave a mark on him.
I don't know. She can blow his mind. She can. He's
So
doing the
that's
imprint, but
different.
she can. If she's seasoned, well seasoned, she can blow his socks off, and have that man ready to give his whole paycheck up.
If I had ladies in the audience, y'all hear him? Okay.
I'm just telling the truth.
I hear you. So we're getting back to chapter number 5. The Tango Tapestry. The Tango Tapestry unravels. And he says, where do I go? No, I want you were beginning to share with us that there was a situation someone wanted to be in Troy's life.
Mhm.
And but Troy was already in a committed relationship.
Yes.
So how does one handle this?
If you're in a committed relationship and you're truly committed, you're going to tell the other person, hey, leave us alone. Stop bothering us. I can't be with you. What we had is what we had. That's over. I'm with this person. This is who I love. And you need to stay away from us. Don't bother her. Don't bother me.
Mm-hmm.
We went our separate ways for a reason. We're not together. And it won't happen again. So just forget about it.
Do you think that boundaries should be established in the beginning of relationships? Do you think that there's a communication issue? Because if there was a parting of the ways and one party moves on, there's something wrong in the communicating of this is. So I want to know what's your thought on communication between a man and a woman?
You should openly communicate at the beginning of the relationship. Let that person know what you're willing to deal with and not put up with.
Okay.
So they don't try you. Because if you don't address it at the beginning of the relationship and they do it, they were like, well, you never let me know you didn't like that or you wasn't into it. And you let it slide. They do it again. They're going to be prone to do it again because you let it slide. So, but how do you know what you're willing to put up with unless you've either seen it, somebody's giving you the game, or you experienced it? Wow.
I wanted to ask you the question is that, do you think that people that walk in healthy relationships have to first have a healthy relationship with themselves?
True. Because if you're all over the place, you're gonna mess up this other person's world. If they got it together, you're just destruction for them.
Yeah. And how does because at my age and then sharing this with others, I'm in a place in a season in my life is that have a good relationship with me, if that makes any sense. And there are a lot of women my age who are either widows, they're divorced, 2-3 times, or they're in their career and they're really just learning how to build a relationship because they've been wives, they've been mothers, they've been servant leaders, and same thing with men. Um, you've been the breadwinner, you've been the one who's navigating the relationships, and when you get a certain age, um, yeah, you gotta be okay with who you are. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, sometimes you gotta work. You gotta recognize your work.
Okay.
Now the reason why I put this book out too is because so much in media, in Hollywood and stuff, the story has mostly been about the woman and her love journey and how she's been betrayed or how she found love, and there's always pain. There's always a lot of times in media, there's always some guys putting his hands on the woman, who's
Uh-huh.
alcoholic and abused, and we see that story all the time.
Yeah.
But we never hear about the things that men go through. So I decided to put this story out there. A lot of times too, with the name of this book, people get thrown off by the cover. They thinking that I'm telling men not to fall in love. I'm doing no such thing.
So what are you telling men?
I'm telling men with this story to be wise. Open your eyes.
Okay.
Be aware of your
wise.
surroundings.
To be wise
Choose
of what?
red flags. Choose wisely. As they like a lot of people say, make sure you're evenly yoked. You need to do a background check on that person before you decide to dedicate your life to this person.
Mm-hmm.
You need to know who you're dealing with, where they come from, what kind of family they have. Is family even important to them? Are they morals the same?
So that
Spiritual beliefs,
conversation that gets back to what I was just saying is that there has to be a dialogue. There has to be a conversation. There has to be, I want to go back to the club analogy, going to the club, we all dressed up, everybody, we look forward to Friday, getting off from work, going to the mall.
Yeah.
And even when we worked our job, come Friday, listen, baby, yes, we're ready to go out. And we were not really showing who we really are because we were wearing the mask. But let's say you do meet someone, and I think we all can raise our hand. Yes, I've met someone in that kind of atmosphere. And you find less than a month away, they are totally, totally opposite of this fine person on the dance floor. What are your thoughts about that? And the mask.
The mask. Yeah, everybody's putting on their representative.
Yeah. They're putting on a representative. Is that what?
Yeah, when you first, they representative, the alter ego or whatever. When you first meet somebody, most of the time they putting on a representative to try to reel you in. So eventually you can meet the real them. But we all, everybody's done it at some point, but as you get older, you realize that just be you, so you don't have to deal with that. You're not giving any false hope or false expectations.
Yeah. That is really, really good. Listen, those of you that are tuning in, yes, I am with this amazing author who is a podcaster. Yes, he's a songwriter and content creator as well. The book is called Love is for Suckas. Yes, this is a book to help us walk in wisdom and how we are selective, how we should be selective in our building a relationships with, whether it's building a relationship with another woman in your life, and men, I'm talking to you, or ladies, another man coming into your life. And I don't know if you talk about this, but here's one thing I do know in this season, Tony, is you cannot go in unless you deal with the baggage.
Exactly. You have to heal yourself. You got to take care of yourself.
If you know that you enjoy the company of another person, if you're a woman, you enjoy the company of a man, but you walking around with baggage, don't bring that. I think wisdom that takes wisdom. That no, I got to deal with this first before I bring someone else in my life. When you're talking to other men, what is the conversation about us as females? Because I want us to know. I want us to have this conversation. What are men saying about us? What they say?
Men intend other men to be wise, be leery of the type of woman you're dealing with. Women always talk about the games that men play.
Uh-huh.
Be leery of the type of games that women play. How to know if a woman is really into you or if she's just using you. What are signs that you're just a safety net or that woman really loves you?
Mm-hmm.
You know, did you go after her or did she go after you? You know, how does she react to certain situations? How does she act to your family? If you got children, how does she respond to your children? You know?
Yeah.
If you was to lose your job today, would she disappear? You know, those kind of things. Do y'all share the same beliefs? How does she feel about having children? Bringing them up? Can she cook? Can she comb hair? You know, these are in today's time. Those are lost arts.
And that's why we have a lot of single men, single fathers who are literally doing the role of the mother.
Mm-hmm.
My son is a single father, taking care of 100% my granddaughter. And so to see that generation of young Black men taking care of their children, to stepping up to the plate, because you all got a bad rap for a long time.
Yeah, the media did that.
The media did it. And I think within the culture, we did it to ourselves. Yeah. Your daddy is no good. You can't be around him. You know, you were only taken advantage of when there was a split. You were only there for to making a child support check. But yet withheld, the children are being withheld. I'm going to apologize. I'm going to do this. And the reason why is because I'm my age, and I want to apologize for every woman that has done that. Because what it did, it put a scar in children where they seen their mothers use them as pawns.
Weaponize the children.
Woo!
Yeah.
And that's real conversation. That's real talk.
Yeah.
And so I apologize for those women that have done this and hurt men. And then on the flip side, we have had men that have hurt women. So it's worked both ways. Yeah. But as you said, is that what you're wanting to do is shed a light of what the media has said about relationships, what it has said about the realness of relationships. How can someone get this book in their hand?
Love is for Suckers by Tony Swinton is available on Amazon.com. You can type in the name. It's also available on Kindle if you like to get the ebook version. If you want a physical copy, you can go to Amazon, or you can go to mcabw.com. mcabw.com and get an autographed copy from me. Also, it's on Audible. If you like to listen to books rather than turning pages, you're not much of a reader, you can listen on Audible. It's available on there. And I purposely made this a quick read. It's going to get your attention, though. But I purposely made it a quick read because today's a lot of people's attention spans are short. So,
and you're right. And you're right. Yes, I'm putting it in the chat. It's www.mcabw.com. There we go.
And in the top there'll be a tab for books. Click on books, and it'll take you right to it. And you can order an autographed copy.
Mr. Clay, I'm gonna bring you in, and Mr. Swain. But yeah, we need to have this kind of conversation from the woman's perspective. I love what and you're absolutely right. As a whole, need true healing. We do.
Yeah,
we absolutely do. Because I'm 63 years old, and so there's some things that I've seen and recognize what has happened when there was a time that, it was, okay, he can go on to work, but I'm going to take him to court. And then hold the children hostage, and you're still getting the check. See, that thing puts a bad taste in my mouth because it happened for many years. And then what happens, let's say there's a boy and a girl, the little girl grows up and doesn't have a great relationship with her
Exactly.
because she's heard bad things in her ear. So that has put a bad taste in her mouth and her perception of men that come in her life. Then you got little boys that grow up. Well, is that how I'm supposed to treat a girl?
So
So
the thing about that also too is that she's telling the son how to treat a woman, because a lot of times these ladies lie to the son. So they're telling their son how he should treat a woman, but they're showing they're showing the daughters a different thing, how to interact and treat men. They're not showing them how to treat a man. And a lot of times also too, some of them don't even have good men around for an example.
right.
And they damage those kids. And those kids finally get to an age where they can have a relationship with their father if they want to. And they'll find out the truth.
Yeah. And so I think over the past, let's say about the last 10, 15 years, there's a generation, I believe that there is a large percentage, or it could be larger, that the product of those, and I'm not really into the Gen X and all of that. I just know my son. My son is 35. So one thing that I did not do is ridicule his dad in front of them. That's one thing I did not do. And I think because I did not want that for my son is how they continue to have a relationship with their father. And we old. But my whole point is because I knew one day they're going to continue to have a relationship with their dad, whether
You got to grow up at some point
or not. And I think that now we're finding men such as yourself, men that's in our audience that are standing up and saying, "Hey, my hand is out, my arm is out. We are not who he is or who he was. I do know how to love. I do know how to relate. I do know how to communicate. I do know how to show you how to be a man." And so I think whenever they call it extending the olive branch and bringing, I believe that we are beginning to see women that are putting, and it could be a larger percentage, but Mr. Tony, I think that there are some young women in, say, my daughter's age, they're like in their 30s and 40s, that are saying, okay, fighting is not going to help because my children matter. My children do matter. So there is some hope. I say for me, there is some hope. And when I say for me, is to see some wholeness come in our community. And this right here is gonna be a piece. Listen, y'all know in the audience, Mr. Tony, I was telling, if there's a toolbox that people need to have, figuratively. And because I interview authors, this is something that needs to be in the toolbox, to go back to it, because I believe that you are showing someone that maybe even sitting in a jail cell and get a hold to your book. And they may say, "Oh, okay, I can relate. I see that." But they also see the part where we're learning how to choose wisely. And I just love it. Shattered illusions. Tell us what was happening with Troy when he got to chapter 10 and shattered illusions. Those of y'all that's tuning in, I am with Mr. T Swinton tonight. Yes, I am. And we are talking about Love is for Suckers. And we're about to talk about shattered illusions.
Shattered illusions. Troy thought everything in his life was hunky-dory. He thought everything was back to normal. He thought that him and his significant other had made an agreement to move in a positive light, in a way. And he was let down. An outsider, a stranger, dropped a crushing blow on him with a phone call. And it takes him down a dark road. And he survives, but it opens his eyes to the real world, and that some people can't be saved. And then you can have a good heart, but you don't have to share that heart with everybody.
So it sounds like we're going to hear a part 2.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Because to leave us with that, then we have to know how Troy is walking this journey out now. He just don't just leave it there, but he's gonna make some wise choices and got hit with some heavy information. It shatters his world, but how does he come out of it? So listen, y'all, stay tuned. There's going to be a part
Yes.
2 for sure.
And I will say this. I'll say this to the audience. Like I said earlier, some people thought that this book was just for men, and that I was trying to, or either it was woman bashing because of the title, or that it was just for men, or I was trying to persuade people to stay away from love. But a lot of people, they love this book. Like you say, the prison system. This book is circulating in the prison in Houston. I mean, not in Houston, but in Texas. This book is in there circulating. It's in the library, and inmates are loving the book.
You better
Blew my
know
mind.
it.
I've had a lady at the post office. She read the book, and she said one of the main characters in the book reminds her of her mother, and how her mother interacted with her father, and how it shaped her. How she interacts with men in her early age. So it hit home with a lot of people. So get your hands on the book. Amazon.com, mcabw.com. Get your hands on the book. And Miss Sandy, I appreciate you for having me on the show.
Oh, welcome. You are so welcome. Listen, listen, I need to see some emojis, some clapping of the hands. Y'all know what I do. He says, yes, authenticity. I love it. I love it. Thank you so much, Miss Alexis. Listen, girl, I got my coffee, okay? But it took me back to my days. I said, yeah, a glass of wine, a cigarette in my hand. And
Shout out to Miss Alexis Ashford. She's one of the first people. She's one of the first people to buy a physical copy of my book. And that's man, that's kinfolk right there. That's kinfolk.
Yes. I love it. I love it. I have really enjoyed my conversation with you. It's you allow me. I want to say that you, as a podcaster, and even you're sitting on the other side, allowing me to interview you. And there's such an ease that he brings us in. And he's bringing us in that where you feel comfortable. And I do. I listen, I'm okay with sharing who I am, my journey in life, and what I've been through. There's no shame in it, because I am who I am now in the Lord. And because I know who I am, I'm okay with sharing the fact that I had my club days. Yes.
We human.
Yeah. And I often have shared, and I tell how, and it was 83, 84, Mr. Tony, and country girl from the South, because North Carolina is my original home. That's my original home before I moved to Mississippi. And I went to New York and worked and lived in New Jersey and New York for over 15 years. But here's that first year. And I got a job on Wall Street, and I'm working on Wall Street. And here comes this fine person who then at that point introduces me to cocaine. And I'm just like, what? It threw my whole world upside down. And in that, thank God that the Lord looked after me. Because the Lord actually, and it was during the time when there was a serial killer in New York at this time. I'm high as a kite on 34th Street in a hotel, drugs all around me. Yes, I tell my story, but God. And I tell you, no one knew where I was at, no family, nobody, but God spared my life. And here I sit. And so this is where we have to be transparent in our conversation so that others will know if that happened to you. Oh my goodness. And you have that story to tell. There's so many people, you and I, with that, with going into the jail and prison ministry and doing that. There's so many young people that are behind bars right now because they either did something because of another person, or they did it for love, thinking, and especially with the women, I have to say, a lot of the women that are incarcerated that that I came in contact with during ministry, they were there because they did an act of violence to help a man. And then you have men who also have done an act of violence because of a woman. When do we bring our community together? And it starts with conversations like this. You are amazing. Thank you so much. We're so thankful to have you on our show tonight. Those of you that would like to get this book, please do. I think we put the email in. He's got it in his hand. Also, tell him about your podcast. When you broadcast, where can individuals listen to you at and when?
We have the Men Can't Always Be Wrong podcast. We like to do an episode every other Thursday. Me and my co-host Jay Bean. We are on the CTR network. You can find us on YouTube under the Men Can't Always Be Wrong YouTube channel, the CTR Media Network's YouTube channel. We're on Spotify. We're on iTunes, Apple, Pandora, iHeart, Audible. We're everywhere. You can check us out on all major podcasting platform streaming services. You can also check out Storytime with T. That's why I tell more stories on my own. You can check that out. It's also on Spotify too. And
listen, you're gonna make me go subscribe to your channel. Well, listen, it is always my custom here at Coffee Conversation and Book Talks with Sandy to yield back and allow my guests to have the final words before we say goodnight. I do want to thank Miss Alexis for hanging out with us. And yes, Mr. J.F. Clay, listen. Thank you for moderating in the room. Thank you for your share. Thank you for just coming through and supporting. And J.K. Bradley, thank you so much for stopping through. Definitely, we appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you. Showing some love to the CTR family. We so appreciate all of you tonight that tune in to Coffee Conversation and Book Talks with Sandy. And at this time, as I said, I'm going to yield back and we're going to hear from our author. Yes, Mr. Tony Swinton, also known as T. Swain.
T. Swain. Thank you. I appreciate you for having me on the show. I thank you and your audience for listening to me. Get your hands on this book. If you have young men or any teenagers in your home, share this book with them. It'll open their eyes to some of the things they may experience in the real world. Share it with them. It's an amazing story. It's based on true events also. So get your hands on the book. Continue to be good. Love does exist. And don't be a sucker. She got T. Swin. Make sure you tune in to my channels. Check out the music. And I'll talk to you later.
Listen, I want to thank our audience tonight. Thank you again, you all, for tuning in. And thank you. I am Sandy Sanders. I am the host and creator for a special episode of Coffee Conversation and Book Talks with Sandy. Do look out for our upcoming guests that we have that are still on tour. We're talking about Dr. Jennifer Jones Bryant and Dr. Jennifer Jones Bryant, and also Dr. Kenyatta Rutgers Power. And yes, these ladies are on tour, and I'm super excited. They will be joining me next week. So, as always, you guys that I know, I love you. Listen, take care. God bless. And we'll see you soon. All right. Take care. All right. Good night. Mr. Saint, stay with me in the background.